When I had first heard about this story, like it was literally juggling around in my head like all day. Like I didn't know what to say. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna record anything about it or not. But then when people kept, wanting me to talk about it, I said, okay, I will. So this man's name is Albert N. Wilson, and back in 2016, and mind you, this story is coming out of Kansas. Back in 2016, he was 20 years old and he was at a bar. And at that bar, he came across this woman. Well, actually, I couldn't even declare her a woman because she wasn't 18. She was 17 at the time. But I'm guessing the age of consent down, and I guess in Kansas, maybe 17 or 16. I'm not even sure. But anyway, the girl happened to be a white girl. And I guess they hooked up or anything some to that effect, but it didn't go past them just kissing. So the story goes that these two kissed, and I don't know how it got out that they were at a bar and hooked up and they were just kissing, but all of a sudden this man is arrested and charged with rape. So you're looking like, all this guy did with this chick was kiss her. Now I know a lot of people are going to say down in the comments, well, that's what he gets because uh, uh, he messed with a white girl and everything like that. I already know that it's coming, but let me continue with the story because it goes even more downhill from there. So he gets hit with these rape charges. Now that was back in 2016. Fast forward to 2019, recent day, where he's now gone through court proceedings and now he is 23. And the girl would now be 20, which is the same age as he was when the incident happened. They did a rape kit on her, and everything, did DNA and all types of things. That all came up in the court proceedings. There was no semen found in her. There was no bruising to her vaginal region. No rape happened because all they did was kiss. There was no penetration. So you're wondering how in the world was that rape? She didn't even cry and say that he sexually harassed her or sexually assaulted her. But they insinuating by this man just merely kissing her that it was rape. It wasn't even statutory rape because that wasn't even one of the charges he got hit with. Because I'm guessing, like I said, the age of consent in Kansas is 17 or 16. I'm not sure, but I'm just going to go with 17 since that's how old she was. I would like to know what in the world was she doing inside of a bar at the age of 17, because I know across the board, most bars you have to be 18 to get into and 21 to be able to drink. But I'm guessing they never brought that up. But going forward, they found him guilty of rape. Now, mind you, like I said, all he did was kiss this girl. He didn't have sex with her. He didn't even give her, as far as I know, he didn't even give her, give her head. Neither did she do the same on to him. No oral sex happened. He got charged with rape and was found guilty of it. And the judge in this case was a white woman. She sentenced him to 12 years in prison. And that's not all. Like I said, this story just continues to get worse and worse and worse. Not only did he get sentenced to 12 years in prison, which means he will not be able to get out of jail unless they can find a way to appeal it, because his attorney was saying, why not give him probation or something like that. But the thing is, he shouldn't even have gotten that because there was no proof of rape actually happening. They did the DNA, they did a rape kit, nothing came from it. She never said that he sexually harassed her or sexually assaulted her or raped her. But they decided to say that he raped her anyway. Gave him 12 years, which means he won't be able to get out until he's about, 35. Then he has to register as a sex offender. And that's not all. There's one major thing that really is going to ruin him and make his life miserable once he gets out. They put him on a lifetime supervision, which means he has to have, it's almost like he has a parole officer for the rest of his life. You know how some people have a parole officer for a couple of years while they're on probation after they get out of jail, if that's part of their term? No, he has a lifetime supervisory like parole, which means he has to check in with someone and they're practically watching his every move. So let's run down everything that I just said here. He met this girl at a bar. He was 20, she was 17. As far as we know, it was a statutory rape because that wasn't one of the charges. They kissed. No penetration. We don't know if it was any oral sex, but as far as we know, it was just a kiss. He gets charged with rape. He gets found guilty of rape. He gets sentenced to 12 years for rape, which by standards would not be considered rape. He has to register as a sex offender, even though he didn't have sex with this chick. And he has a lifetime supervisory parole type thing where he has to pretty much have a hawk watching almost every move he makes after he gets out of jail, unless they can find a way to appeal this, and I'm sure they are because it's a ridiculous sentence. Mind you, how many white males around his age have actually raped someone and got a huge slap on the wrist? Like Brock Turner. He raped this woman who was unconscious, under the influence, behind a dumpster, and I still remember what his dad said. His dad said, "Why are you trying to ruin my son's life for 20 minutes of pleasure?" Or was it 15 minutes? I forgot what the time was, but I know that the sentence structure went that way, and that Judge Aaron Persky, who's no longer a judge, actually kind of agreed with it. He was supposed to get like a couple years in prison, then they got it down to 6 months, and then he got it reduced to 3 months. And then when he got out, they tried to appeal it because they wanted to remove the sex offender off of his record, but they denied it. That was probably the best thing they could have did out of that sham of a case. Then I've done other stories where you've had white college males actually rape somebody and they didn't get any charges. They walked away from it because, they had to think of their future. So what does that tell you? They will get a black man on any type of charge when they think they can and ruin his future. No one said, "Oh, we got to think of his future." His future is done. It's shot. And see, the court of public opinion is always going to be out there. And see, the thing is, it's one thing that they're going to throw him in jail, or they're planning on throwing him in jail for 12 years for this. But the worst part is they are labeling him as a sex offender, which means that's going to always be on his record. If he ever should be able to want to apply for a job, that means it's going to be hard for him to get employment because of that title, sex offender, next to his name. He could be the most qualified person for a position, but because of that on his record, they're not going to hire him because they will see him as a risk. Especially if he has to be around other female employees. One major mistake, like I said, that he made was messing with that white chick. That was the major mistake that he made. Don't get me wrong. I'm mad that he got railroaded because it's almost like they're making an example out of him. How many black men are in jail right now for false rape? But here's the thing though. She never claimed that he raped her. She never claimed that he sexually assaulted her. She never claimed any of that stuff. They formulated in their head that him just kissing her was bad enough. That's the plot twist in the entire thing. She didn't say that he did any of those things to her. They made up in their head that him merely kissing this white girl was an example of sexual assault and or rape. And this happened in Kansas to I don't know if I have any subscribers who live in Kansas. But that lets you know right there that the system hates our black ass. And I won't be surprised if they mad about the whole Jussie Smollett thing right now. Listen, I'm telling you, him getting off is going to make a lot of these white judges who have to sit before or sit on the bench for a trial of a black person, especially of a black male. Oh, they are about to go and kick it into high gear because of this. But I hope that he gets some better lawyers or something like that, to hopefully get him out of this. Because while it was a very dumb decision of him to make, to do, and engage in what he did, and he probably didn't think nothing of it, because I wouldn't be surprised if he's probably done this before. But it's the fact that all of this, it just led up to this. But this will hopefully be a learning lesson for him. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to sit here and say, like, oh, that's what he gets, because he definitely got a bad rap. They gave him a very, very bad deal. Like, it's bad enough that you're giving him 12 years for a rape that never occurred, and you label him a sex offender even though he didn't have sex with this girl, and then you put him on a lifetime supervisory watch. That means he really can't, he really can't maneuver the way he wants to. He's stuck. Like, he's literally going to have to live his life like in a box for the rest of his life, unless they can overturn this. And good luck having that happen, because I've heard Kansas is a very racist state. And it doesn't surprise me, because Kansas just screams redneck, hickish, whatever. Now, I don't know if he's from there. They just say he went to college there, but I'm just going to assume that he's not from there. Yeah, it's almost like when you are a black person, it's almost like you have to learn the customs of certain states that you go to, especially if they are a red state. Almost like when you go overseas and you have to learn the customs of how it is overseas before you go there. But I hope the best for him, because like I said, at the end of the day, as a black man, he got a raw deal. Now I'm almost curious to see how many people are what y'all are going to say down in the comments after I've given you all this information. I'll even leave the link to the article in the description, and you can read it in detail for yourself. But y'all let me know what you think down in the comments, and I'll talk to you in the next one.